This is my Volvo XC90, and for a very quick backstory, I've not had the car long. It's kind of blown me away how much I'm enjoying owning this. It's not the most glamorous car you've ever seen, it's not in the best condition you've ever seen, but it's an awful lot of fun. It's a kind of stress-free ownership experience so far. Comparing that to my previous family car, which was a 2010 Range Rover L322, I have to say, they're so different in so many ways, even though they kind of do the same job. So in this video, I wanted to compare the two. Perhaps you're in the market for one or the other and you're deciding on which one to go for. You're wondering why we no longer own an L322 because you know how much I love them, why I'm now sort of in a relationship with the XC90 and have not got any intentions of going back to an L322 anytime soon. However, never say never, because if the right one comes up, it's going to take a lot for me not to go for it. Basically, I'm in a place I never thought I would be, down this country lane firstly. But secondly, driving a car like this doesn't excite me that much in terms of as a car lover. It's not got the most tight steering, it's not the fastest car by any means. It's a 2.5 turbo diesel, it's a D5 engine, so it's not like thrilling. We've got the Porsche 996, it kind of ticks that box for us in terms of if you want a thrill ride. We've got that option on the driveway, as well as the Lotus Elan in the garage, which still needs fixing, but that's not in today's video. But yeah, I wanted to end this video sort of go through the pros and cons of both, because on the used market right now you kind of can get them for a similar price. L322s have come down a lot. I think a lot of that is to do with the whole insurance situation that happened, was it last year? The premiums just went up like absolute crazy. I mean, this specific one we picked up for only £5,000, which I think was an absolute bargain. There are similar ones out there for a bit more, and obviously it depends on sort of what you go for in terms of spec, but I feel like it's a fairly comparable car these days for the kind of price, the size, the fact that it's like a SUV 4x4 7-seater. This is actually, so we've already got a bonus, we've already got a pro tick on the Volvo, so we've got 7 seats in this, and obviously the L322 is only 5, but they're a good car to compare to each other, and having owned both for a fairly long time now, I think I'm quite a good person to make that comparison. So welcome to the video. If you are new around here, please don't forget to subscribe today and give the video a thumbs up if you enjoy it. But yeah, let's get into it and let's talk about firstly the L322, because I've got a lot to say about this car. So very quick bit of history, and I'll put some clips in here of the ones I've owned in the past. So we first got one back in 2022 when our firstborn was only a baby, and we basically needed a bigger family car. It was 2009, it was a TDV8. We loved it, we fell in love with it. It's a beautiful car. I always say that kind of era of cars my favourite. It's a crossover between the kind of utilitarian tractory look and feel, as I often say, but it's also got a few of the bells and whistles. It had the heated seats, a heated steering wheel, it had screens in the back, it had a really nice spec on it from memory. There was quite a few things that really I enjoyed about it. The things I didn't enjoy were how often I saw it on the back of a breakdown truck. Basically, so many things went wrong with that car. We had a split boost pipe, which we had to fix, which put us into limp mode as we were pulling out of a junction. We had an ongoing air suspension fault where the whole car would just drop. Like you'd come out of your house and, oh cool, my car's sat on the floor again. It's like it's having a hissy fit on the floor. It's in a hump, sort of sat down, looking all sad, and that happened several times. It also happened whilst driving, which is great. Obviously not the safest thing in the world, and that eventually led to one of the front airbags eventually splitting, and we had to replace the whole strut, so that was expensive. Luckily we had the AA cover that, what was it called, parts and garage, so we only had to pay like the excess, so it was actually quite good. And if you're getting an L322, definitely get some sort of warranty like that on it, because you're a madman if you don't. We were driving along another day and there was suddenly this huge metal clunky churning noise, and it was the handbrake at fault this time, and it literally was, it haunts me, that noise. Honestly, it was horrendous. Driving along with our son in the car as well, and it wasn't on a particularly slow road. The whole handbrake had disintegrated in the hub of the wheel. Again, big expensive fix, had the warranty to cover it, but still not ideal. It's basically the kind of car that you need a second car to keep you going while it's being fixed. Like the BMW became our recovery vehicle. Not to recover the car, but to recover us, and it still meant that we were mobile and able to get around when the L322 was being fixed, which is stupid. It makes no sense really, but for some reason we were still drawn to it. We still couldn't get enough. We still loved driving it, so much so that we actually had 2 more since then. So I was topping up the coolant literally every morning. Every morning I got into the car, it was too low, top it up. It was like I topped up the coolant as frequently as I turned the engine on by the end of it. There were a lot of things wrong with the car. things that we got fixed, so don't get me wrong, we did put the time and effort into fixing them, but it was just one thing after another. They say like range anxiety is what you get with the Tesla. Not sure if you're going to get to your location. We reinvented that to range anxiety in the Range Rover. The anxiety every time you drive it of, are we going to be okay or are we going to break down today? Because it was pretty much 50-50 by the end. We then had another one for a little while. It wasn't our car that we owned. We sort of had it for a month, and that actually was fine. That was all good, because it was maybe because it was such a short piece of ownership. And then the third one was the most recent one we had, which was a beautiful navy blue one, which we sold, and actually that was much better. It didn't have as much go wrong. That was a 4.4, so quicker engine, more thirsty but a lot more fun. There were little things like the boot button wasn't working properly, but it turns out it had been unplugged. The boot struts, we never actually got around to fixing those before we sold it, but the person we sold it to is very hands-on and he was quite up for the challenge of fixing that. So actually, if you're watching this video, let me know how you're getting on with the car, because I'd love to know how she's doing these days. But it was still very much like waiting for something to go wrong. It's just one of those things. It had the sort of the noise with the turbos, actually. That was something that came up with it. It kind of had a whooshing, whistling noise when you put your foot down. And we never really got to the bottom of that. And a few people just said it's one of those things with the age of the car. We did have it in a few different specialists. It didn't really come to anything. But what I'm trying to say is that it's not an easy ownership having an L322, but when you're in it, you can't help but love it. Like, I don't know what it is. I'm drawn to those cars. And if one comes up in green with a tan interior, with good mileage, in a good condition, and at a good price, I can't see myself saying no to it, which worries me. But one day when we've got our farmhouse in the countryside, it's a car that we will need, and it will be a functional L322, which is my dream. But I want one with no rust on the arches. But does that even exist now in 2025? Possibly not in the UK. I know in some other countries they have them with no rust at all, which just sounds mad, but because of the weather over there, we have a friend in the Philippines who has one which is basically rust-free, which honestly, it's like going back in time. It's like kind of surreal seeing one without any rust. That is my story with L322s, and I'd love to know in the comments if any of you have had a similar experience, or give me some positive stories and tell me that you've owned one for 20 years and nothing's ever gone wrong. I don't think that story actually exists. But anyway, back to today with the XC90. So George is here just keeping our son happy in the back, if you wondered why he was just lurking in the background of all those clips. You don't have to keep facing that way. I'm saying you're lurking, you just don't turn around. Beautiful setting, by the way. Look at this weather. Lovely sunny day. The car's looking stunning. Had it washed recently again as well, and it looks great. But anyway, this is a lot less stressful, and it does still tick a huge amount of the boxes that the L322 ticks. So it's obviously still in the same sort of era, the sort of 2008 to 2012, I'd say is my ideal. Oh, we still need to do that blooming badge, George. Why do we keep forgetting? That has been like said in 3 videos. I am the most annoying person, the most annoying YouTuber. I'm all talk, aren't I? So we've got the space, we've got the size. I mean, let me just open up the front here. When you sit next to your passenger, you have got a lot of room between the two of you. So if you don't like your partner, this is the ideal car for you, because when George and I have had a huge argument, we're not in touching distance, which is great. But no, honestly, the seats, obviously they're not in the best condition because it's an older car and it's well used, but it's well loved, and I like that they sort of worn in. It makes for the most comfortable seat you ever sat on. It's honestly like an armchair. You've got loads of space. Comfort is absolute key in this car. Even comfier than the L322, I would say. It's somehow, I mean, the L322 is a comfortable car, but this, it just, you sit in it, you kind of sink into the seat and you just glide over bumps, and it's just this lovely soft leather, and it's just got a lullaby in the background. It's beautiful. I do prefer the interior of the L322 because they didn't update this. They didn't update this at all, obviously, until the next model, the totally different car came out. So it's very dated, and I don't love this, but it's fine. You sort of deal with it. It doesn't really matter that much. But the L322, I think, has got a much nicer looking interior. I do obviously like that it's got the actual physical gear stick here, and it's got the funny handbrake where you release it here and then you press this little mini pedal. I don't know if you can see that very well. Down here to engage the handbrake. Obviously some of the later L322s had the, come on camera, catch up with me, had the little twisty knob, but then some had this. I preferred the earlier version that had the physical. It's something about it I don't like. I don't know, it feels really weird twisting to go into reverse or drive, but anyway, very minor thing. The steering wheel's really nice. It's got the sort of perforated leather around here, and it's got, this is the R design obviously, so it's got the R design badge. And obviously comparing it to the L322 interior, because I have lots of footage of that from my previous ownership, I think I do prefer the L322. I'd say I still like this interior. I like this area. I like the sort of blue dials for the R design. I like the fact that it's not too flashy. There's not too much going on, and it's all like physical manual buttons, and there's no, well, there's a screen here, a pop-up screen, which is totally pointless. And the only time it goes up is if I tap the button by accident, and then I shortly push it back down again. It's also facing sort of downwards into the rear, not at me at all, so it's completely stupid design, but anyway. And then of course we are a family of 4, so there are toys in here constantly. It's absolute carnage. But backspace, I can sit sit very comfortably in the middle here, and I also will be able to in the L322, so you're fine in the back. I've got a big old car seat here with the Isofix, plenty of room in the front still. I say plenty, it's not like loads of space, but it's enough. And then in the back here, our son is 3.5, and he's got just about enough room there for his legs to go down, and George is 6'3", and that's where he'd have his car seat position. So I've just put that back into his setting there, so you can see like the worst case. Obviously it's further forward when I drive, and there is enough room. And then boot space wise, hello mate, this is ideal. They've both got the split tailgate, which now is a no-brainer in a car for me. I love a split tailgate, and I don't know how parents without one survive, because where else you change your baby's nappies. Been saying it for ages, we do need to have a big tidy up of this boot, but this is the reality of family life. You can just chuck everything you want in here. We've been on long road trips and filled this boot, loads of space, and obviously you've got the rack, the rails on the top for a roof box, which we have fitted as well. But boot size wise, I would say, I think the L322 is probably slightly bigger, but this is enough unless you've got a very specific thing you need a ginormous boot for. And speaking of size, I actually find this a bit easier to park, easier to manoeuvre, in another sense less easy to park, because the R322 is straight back, and it's like a box shape at the back. It just goes straight down, so what you see at your window is the end of the car, and you can see it really clearly. But obviously in this, it goes out slightly, so if that makes sense, you've got your parking sensors, but you don't quite know the size of the car as much. But in another sense, it feels a bit smaller. I'm going to put some stats on the screen because I don't know exactly the difference in terms of like to the exact centimetre. And in terms of the drive, I'd find this is better at handling sort of around corners, on roundabouts and things like that. It's a bit more solid, a bit more sat into the ground. But obviously the L322 is faster, it's got the air suspension as an added bonus, which is great, and then off-road it's no brainer. The L322 is a better car if off-roading is something you need to do. This is fine, but we have had some wheel spinning situations. We were at Centre Parks recently, and George decided to park it in a ditch, which I said you shouldn't do, and we nearly got stuck in the ditch, which would have been horrendous. We did manage to get out in the end, but we had a lot of wheel spinning, and we had to like go into second gear, but we did manage to, well, luckily you can see we're here today, we managed to get out of the said ditch. And then this is a point that I don't know if is that important to anyone watching, or if you can agree, but there's something about pulling up to somewhere in a Range Rover. You feel a bit more, it feels a bit more special. It feels a bit more like you have arrived, you're here in your Range Rover, like you're here with a family, you've got yourself together. Not that I don't feel that in this, but it feels a bit less special. It feels a bit more like a normal everyday family car versus the Range Rover. But I don't know if that just sounds like a bit of a knobby thing to say. I don't know if I feel that way, but you feel a bit nicer in the Range Rover, don't you? And I don't know why. It's just a bit of a cooler car, I think. It's like something that you'd only care about if you are into cars. But not to say this isn't a lovely car, but it doesn't feel quite as special. But I am just looking at it here. I don't know if it's going to come out on camera, but the shine in this paintwork, I've never seen it look so metallic. It almost looks glittery. I don't know if that's coming out, but because of the reflection of the like the shadows on the trees behind me, this is actually a very nice colour, if you can see that at all. Sorry, I got completely sidetracked by something shiny. I'm like a magpie. And obviously neither car are particularly cheap to fix, but this will have slightly lower price for parts and things, slightly cheaper fixes, and hopefully less need to get things fixed. So you're probably going to save money on maintenance with Volvo versus the Range Rover. You'll also be saving a lot of money on fuel costs if you go for our exact comparison. But of course you can get a lower engine L322, or you can get the V8 version of this, which we do have our eye on one day perhaps, because I mean if we can find one that's in as good a condition as this, like more mechanically wise, that's not the way to say it, is it? Mechanically
Drop the wise.
I do not help myself, do I? Drop the wise. Very wise words. But yeah, that is kind of where I'm at with this. And I'd love, if it's going to be a bit random if anyone can relate, any of you owned both as well. How cool would that be? And even more so if you've owned the exact engines that we have owned. That'd be funny, wouldn't it?
That's the beauty of YouTube and the internet.
Yeah, that is the beauty of YouTube and the internet.
Someone probably has.
Yeah.
And like from reading the comments, we both read a lot of the comments on the channel, and it's like, these car conversations are great.
Yeah.
These are the conversations that we have together, and the conversations that we have with friends and car friends and people who love cars.
And now we get to have it with you guys.
Now, like, you can talk about stuff.
Yeah.
And then all these comments come back. Yeah. It's awesome.
So always leave comments. We always read them. We always care. We don't just ask for them for no reason. We do genuinely take an interest.
And people have been saying that they've been liking that I've been in more of the videos.
Have they? I don't know if I read that, George.
Yeah. That was not me on 4 of my own accounts commenting that, promise.
Not sure, I'm not convinced. He only shows himself something. He's going to lurk back into the distance. I love how you just walked off there and he's just literally just behind me, still here. So if I turn, you'll still see him. Yeah, so we may need the channel rebrand. Lucy and George on cars. No, it hasn't got the same ring to it. Sorry, I don't think you make the cut. You can stay over there in your field. But yeah, sorry, I think I swallowed a fly. hopefully not. I think I'm going to end this video here now because I just want to keep talking. This lighting is heaven. Like, look at the blue skies behind me. I love this weather so much. But I think that's kind of where I'm at in terms of comparison for these two cars. I'm loving this, but I will have another L322 in the future. So I do love both, but for different reasons. And right now, at this part of my life, 2 kids, I want reliability. I want to leave the house knowing I'm going to get to my destination in one piece without having to call the AA halfway there. So this gives me peace of mind and reassurance. This car is a reliable car and I do love it dearly. Maybe it's a sign of me growing up. But anyway, the L322 will be back in my life at some point, I'm sure. So thank you so much for watching this video today. If you did enjoy it, please give it a big thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel if you're new. And I'll see you very soon in the next Lucy on Cars. Say goodbye.
Bye.